know what they say, Scott?
That music is louder than I
Foreign
expected
is
because,
fun.
well, we can't hear you, Neil. It's
Like, fuck.
It's sorry. It is. I keep having to because work keeps wanting to use Teams, which is a very very inferior method of communication compared to say Zoom. And I'm not downloading that crap on my computer, so I have to do it by web browser, and I have to jack up my web browser volume, which is the background music. Anyways, hi everybody. How are we doing today? Neil, were you saying something dumb that nobody cared to listen to?
Something about foreign being fun.
Foreign being fun.
Yeah.
Is that why the Brits try to take over the world? To sow the seed of fun?
Reasonably successfully, actually.
What was that?
We did it before it was cool.
Oh, before I was cool. Oh, yeah.
That's gone so well for you now that you've done Brexit.
Wait a second. You did it before it was cool. So what about like Alexander the Great or like?
I mean, he took over like a bit of Macedonia and stuff. You know, it's not really taking over the world, is it?
Or what about
he
Attila
was
the
the
Hun?
king of
or-
Macedonia, thank you. And he took over a lot more than that. Stop trying to
It's my internet.
sully
Whoa,
the
hold on,
accomplishments
Jake.
of my ancestors,
Jake,
thank you.
Jake, you still have the Queen, so you can't say anything. You're in the same boat as him. I mean, I'm just saying, yeet the tea. That's all you got to do. Yeet the tea.
No, tea is great. You shush.
All right. Anyways, hello everybody. How are we all doing today? Yeah, let's play some Aurorum Kingmaker, season 4, session 2. Yeah, last time we played our game, our little game here. The party had gone down to Herod to meet the hero of Herod. And of course, because that's unfortunately his personality out of game and in game, both Neil and Rayrin were left wanting. They're like, oh, this is not a hero. This is just a cult leader and somebody that we should probably look to assassinate.
Whoa! Don't put words
Where did
in
that
our
come
mouth.
from?
You look at Kingmaker spoilers. You were like, we went to go meet some hero. Seems like just some cult leader.
Yeah, but there was no mention of assassinating him.
Yeah, but we all know when Rayrin doesn't like somebody, he just assumes kill them.
I
That is
believe
a lie.
that was Jake in chat actually this time.
No, Jake had a very specific. Jake is like a pit bull that was like abused. He like finds one target and goes for it until it's destroyed, and then he waits for a new target. You know?
This is pretty accurate.
See, Jake is an abused pit bull. Hashtag Michael Vick. So, anyways, let's keep going. Boys, you were in Herod, and things actually went fairly well.
I'm aware.
The classic abused pit bull. That's right, Polita. How does the build points thing work? What do you mean by that, Steve? Oh, build points redemption thing work? Is it still on there? If it's still on there, then I think it's exactly as it says.
Got 1,500 daddies, and we get ABP?
Yep.
1d2 BP.
Which is 4,000 gold pieces in value.
Nice.
That's if you're trying to give them a small amount of grace. All right.
So for those of you that are addicted to gambling, Josh, don't do it. Just sink it all into the kingdom.
Oh man, Josh had so
Which
many...
is like a long
Josh's daddies
gamble,
are gone.
you know?
They're gone.
Wait,
he could
they're
have
gone?
done that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he does that. He's like, oh, I'll drop a couple fortune's favors, and then I'm going to gamble them all away. He had
so much.
he could have bought you guys like 100.
He does
EP
legit have a gambling problem, though.
Easily.
So, you know. You probably should remove it, or like have a gamble aware link.
No.
And he's got to get his fix somewhere. I don't know about where you guys are, but all our pubs and stuff are closed. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and online gambling is illegal in many states. They're probably not Florida. So,
What
He's
is
got to do
illegal
it
in
somewhere.
Florida,
And
right?
Scott is providing gambling when other people aren't.
Oh,
Exactly.
oh god.
But doesn't he need a license for that?
nope, I do not. This actually falls under the category of not required.
Damn.
Yeah, that's right.
You-
Because
you
there
just
is
drop
no
in
monetary
beer
value of
taste in coffee.
daddies. Daddies are something that can be farmed or accrued with non-monetary means. So there's no monetary value for daddies.
That,
So
But they
that
could also
argument-
be
that
acquired
argument
by
is not gonna
money.
work. for much longer, because that's the exact argument the video games industry is using, and it's falling apart. So that argument is very much not going to be able to be used for much longer.
When Twitch changes its policies, we will all adhere to them. Moving on. And Your Honor, if I could please point to evidence C. As you can clearly see here, a gentleman by the name of, excuse me, the test tube says.
What now?
We'll just mute that. Hold on. So you guys are all happy to hear that my voice is on its way back. That's good news. I know you missed it, but speaking of voices, why don't we hear your beautiful voices down in Herod, where you went down there, you had a conversation with the captain of the guard down here. His name was Captain Jack, and he also, you guys kind of informed them of the situation of all the areas around, and he literally said, will you come and meet with me and kind of fill me in on the details of all the stuff that's around, and you guys had that drink. I think we literally stopped immediately before that drink that you guys were having, with it kind of like fade to black as you guys were doing that. But the drink is not very difficult in what it is that you need to. Oh, that's funny. The drink wasn't super important on what it was that you needed to have the conversation about. I think you were just literally rolling a diplomacy check with him to kind of have things go.
We passed
you already did?
massively.
Oh, perfect. Then you gave you swayed them, you got them over, so on and so forth, and that was like while you were drinking and hanging out.
I rolled like a 30-something on it.
Cool. So I remember like he really liked you guys, but that's why then. It's because you had already crushed in success. So you guys ended up having a nice time with them, relaxing. You can then kind of like, you're by no stretch of the imagination are locked down here. But what I will say is that when you do go to leave, Tesh, when you go to leave with their characters, he will say to you, he's like, do you intend to come back?
Wait, so first of all, how the fuck did we get to the stage of me leaving with them? That was never discussed before this.
Would you like me to do a recap, Scott?
You chatted with them. You talked about all the different areas. The areas were done. You had found out there are a lot of places that were really messed up, and that maybe you'd want to go and see if you could lend aid to them.
Okay.
That was something that you were saying beforehand. Unless I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
Okay, go ahead, Neil. Recap.
To recap this conversation, basically all that happened was Rayrin had explained what went on during the war and cleared up the misunderstandings that were spread by some bitch bard. And then that was pretty much.
I don't think any bard spread it properly.
That was literally it, and so that's why I was like, "Hold up, what?"
That was literally where we ended off right there.
I literally was wondering how we were going to progress to the whole "I'm joining." Thanks.
Like that, you're joining now. Just shut up.
You boys take over.
Okay. So you discussed about all the different towns that are...
That's what that means.
No. I'm saying, please take over.
So we've discussed all the places that are far worse off than Harrod is. Specifically, we're going back through. You're going back through Forvin, right? Yes.
Only if you would take. So if you choose to do that, which you can, you are going to be traveling downstream for a short little bit from Harrod. If you guys are looking at the map, let me just check and see where you are. You are. You're traveling from Harrod to that large lake is downstream, but then from Forvin to Leshev is all upstream. You can do it. It's just slow trekking. You could also just choose to cross the land, but obviously that is, has its own innate dangers.
I mean, we could just keep going through to Hodgwam.
That's also upstream. So again, slower, but you can absolutely do it.
It's upstream?
It's not upstream, it's downstream. Rivers flow towards the sea.
But
That's what I thought.
Rivers actually flow from mountain tops down, so they. Yeah.
But there's no way towards the sea that way.
The ocean is very, very far away from here. 1 second. Making sure I'm not crazy.
Fango group was the Inland Fango group was.
They were introduced. I knew nothing about this.
Why don't we just give the goblins 4 then? As a new little town.
Because
Just
ruins.
settle there.
There's also not that many of them.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. A place like
Oh,
Red,
no.
a place like Red, you could potentially do, but.
We have people that need to go back to Rid.
Yeah. People might do that
So I'm
one.
sorry. You guys are looking to head back home. Is that the plan?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what their plan is to get back home because I'm trying to think of trying to get to a reason where Ellen would want to join, sort of thing. Because at the moment he's wanting to help Harrod, sort of thing.
If we're entirely honest with you, we travelled down as we heard rumours of a hero who was destroying hordes of undead. A person like that would be of great use to both us and Idir at the moment. However, is it true?
The hero part's a bit of a stretch. But otherwise, yes.
You're capable of destroying hordes of undead by yourself.
Yeah. Don't ask me to explain how.
Well, it's clearly not by skill at arms, so it's some sort of magic.
Yes.
How?
If we could step outside. I don't really want to break anything in here because we're in a tavern at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I don't
Shit,
really
he's
want
going
to.
to go for a demonstration in the middle of town. Just fry someone.
No, I don't. It's
Rayron, when you're like, if we could step outside, I don't want to break in it. He thought you were asking for secrecy at first, and then he's like, I don't want to break anything, and he raises his eyebrows and then stands.
Okay, so he'll lead them outside and just like if you like go to like give him room, he's like, oh no, you don't need to worry about stepping back. Might actually, do you have any wounds or anything? That doesn't matter. And then just almost like he sort of focuses for a second, and then just boom, just massive sort of like almost like jet engine like in terms of wind just shoots out of him, and the wind would heal if you had any wounds, and sort of 30 feet all like and if the ground's like pushed aside a little bit, like rocks are like moved aside.
Oh shit.
So I would be familiar with this spell, I would assume, Scott, because 2 is a cleric.
Hold on. Channel energy. It's not a spell. It's a feature. And 2 is a cleric. 2 does not heal. So you can definitely roll a religion check.
Alrighty.
Let's just say 2 doesn't heal.
Scott, I just saw what you did in my armor.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, because you put the wrong. You put Hinta's armor on there. I was like, you dumb motherfucker. Actually, you would be familiar that it's literally just a raw. It's a channeling of raw divine power.
And so after it's like finished, she's like, so that seems to hurt the undead, but heal people.
Energy that damages the undead but heals people. I see. I'm more familiar with the counterpart.
It's all kind of new.
He would glance towards one. I certainly think we could make use of this. You could save a lot of people.
It's highly effective against undead.
He's going to turn to Jack and just, will Howard be okay? I would want to come back, but if I can help other people.
Scott,
I think Scott did not hear a thing I said.
you working on something?
What's up?
Yeah.
You said to me.
Yeah, I turned to Jack and said, "Will Howard be okay?"
Yeah, he says he looks around and says, Yeah, there's not a single undead in sight. And even if there were, it takes them some time to muster up a decent number, doesn't it? You just cleared them out last night. And I think we can manage from here.
If
Truth be told, Valoran, you are the chosen of Valoran. If you're looking to take our hero here, we certainly hold no bounds to him, and we have no claim over him. He's a good man that happened to find his way into to us. We were able to help him in the ways that he needed. He says, looking at you knowingly, without, of course, saying anything. He helped him in the ways that he needed, and him us in exchange. And we grown comfortable with one another. If I may make a request, because this is by no means a bargain or trade, if you are going to leave with the hero, would you be willing to send a small group to help protect our people? Not many, honestly. If you can send 50 soldiers, that would be more than enough to help us. You have to understand, and chosen of the Neil Salzman changed his name. So chosen of the you of course recall the battle on the bridge. My men don't have much training. They can swing a sword, but if there's much of a defense, or if you're facing an enemy like this, your men all have, even in the months of training and the leadership that they have, it's going to be greater than what we've been able to offer.
As much as I hate to say it, the Illinites probably are very eager to learn as well. Getting someone to train them to help defend Harrod is probably not a bad idea.
Not looking to borrow any of your commanders. I understand that you need them, but if you can spare them, that'd be fine. And this isn't a trade. I will gladly pay for the food and the housing and whatnot as they come here. Our supplies are incredibly limited, but unfortunately, there aren't many people left that require those things. And with the protections that Ilin has been able to provide, we have been able to put focus back into production. We just don't want to lose that with the spring coming full-fledged. Our early crops are finally coming to bloom.
What do you think, Juan? I think it would be a wise
I think
decision.
what he is saying is fair. However, you know what the general is doing at the moment. We are clearing Idir piece by piece. I feel that even those 50 men will be missed. I wonder if Leshev may not be able to spare some of Raven's riders. That is more a question for you and them.
It is possible. However, Leshev is providing us a rather large amount of financial support at the moment. He says this in front of the captain.
Of course.
It would be wise not to undervalue their support.
I don't at all. I just think of our own frontline troops going up against the thousands of dead that are in Idir at the moment. But I'm sure 50 men can be mustered and sent. We do need to have General Jaeger clear in... I think we were thinking down towards... from Reed toward Hodgwen. We could have him then, if all goes well, head east towards Harrod as well.
Would you be able to survive several weeks? It will take time for any troops to arrive here, and I would be hesitant to send them cross-country. It would be far better for our forces to make it to Hadgwen, and from there, march across, particularly if we are sending a small force of 50 men.
We can survive well enough. for some time. I mean, again, it takes usually at least a week for them to really build up their forces again. I'm not sure how much of this you've experienced yourself. It seems like if you attack an area where there's a decent number of them and you disperse them, it's almost like they're pulled to that spot. They're called almost like they're filling an empty space. Like if you were to take a glass of water out of a pond, the rest of the water around it seems to come to fill it back in. I'm not sure how much fighting of them you've done, but you'll often see where you disperse them. That's where they tend to reform. We've used this tactic to a lesser degree with Ilan here, consistently trying to pull them to one area, our men pulling them to one area, Ilan kind of destroying them there, and then they'll reappear there, and it allows us to maintain a degree of defense.
I see.
Captain,
It's not perfect. It's not perfect. And then he turns to his attention to you.
You're currently in command, leading the people of Harrod, correct?
I'm
you
sorry?
Speak for them?
They have looked to me for more guidance than I'm comfortable providing, but in this time, I'm willing to do what I can.
Ilan laughs in character as well. He does that sort of like little chuckle at that moment as well.
These are very trying times. Would you excuse me one moment? And he would just look at Rayron to step away to talk with them.
Rayron would obviously follow.
I would move out of earshot and kind of say quietly, this is an opportune time. Through this tragedy, we could start forming a coalition of city-states in the defense of Idir. I think we should, if this Captain Jack is amenable, maybe lay the foundation for some form of confederacy or something.
Agreed. It will do his people no good for them to remain isolated. Far better for them to join with the likes of Leshev and us, provide them with both supplies, trade, and hopefully defense.
Exactly, and they would feel as though they would be included in what is going on in the rest of Idir. So far it is us, Leshev, and Varen. We have our own alliance. Oh, and Vigil, if it still stands. Expanding to Harrod and dealing with the Hodgoin situation, then there is only the remnants of Fortin. I think we should take this opportunity to try and solidify some resistance for Idir, of Idirians.
Agreed.
Would you mind leading?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Rayron, as they made their way back towards the other two, Rayron would you give the captain a hard look. We fought a bloody war recently.
I'm aware of that. We were on opposite sides.
I wish for that to not happen again.
I think we all can agree that Idir has seen enough bloodshed. Now, if only we can handle this pesky problem.
We are laying the seeds of an alliance of the city-states of Idir standing together as one.
So you've also heard about the Paradel.
Possibly.
No.
What have you heard?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I've heard if you tell me what.
One, no.
So he looks at you guys. You guys are super obvious, right? And he's like, "Oh, you didn't hear about the Paradel prior to all of this happening? Prior to the Dead Rising?
No, we were rather preoccupied. Please.
Do I know? Has he told? Would he have told me this?
No.
Okay. So Ilan would look just as confused.
They seem to have taken an interest out east, not far past Estrad. There's a city out there, town, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember its name. They sent a small group of soldiers over near exploring around Estrad. I imagine they're not in the area anymore, but it was the first time ever we'd seen. Hi, puppy. It was the first time ever we had seen the Perrin forces in Idir in a long time. I thought you were referring to that.
We were aware of this, actually. One of the commanders of Hod Gwen were working with them, and he was taken care of.
That was during the war and whatnot. This is
after, I think.
After the war was over. After the bodies of over 1,000 men and women.
More men into Idir since disposing of the last force, then.
I don't mean a few people here and there. I mean a force. It was reported. We have trades with Ostrad. We have been trading with Ostrad around Hod Gwen for years, and they had mentioned it. We unfortunately had to pick up a lot of the slack of that trade. They weren't able to come as far as they used to be able to because of, they had a couple of interesting stories to tell out of Ostrad. But
do we know what region they came from in Paradel?
I'm not familiar with the regions of Paradel, but to the east of them.
It must have been some force. There would have been thousands of.
In that case,
was this before or after the Dead Rose?
Before the Dead Rose. I unfortunately don't think that. I don't think Paradel would be dumb enough to be coming through the lands now, and I honestly.
They are manning the borders.
Yeah, he nods because obviously you two had discussed that beforehand. He nods. And it's probably the first time you guys heard of that, and he says, "Besides, truth be told, I don't know if you know of the graves of Estrad, but there was a massive battle that took place there, and over 1,000 fresh graves were. Never mind all the old. Anyways, I don't know if Estrad exists any longer."
In that case, Captain, it lends even greater urgency. We now, more than ever, must stand together. It is a peculiar situation we find ourselves in, but I would offer you a position of sorts. Not within the kingdom, but working closely with us.
Listen, I mean no disrespect. I've born and raised in Harrodans. My father fought. His mother fought, and hers, and we've all kind of had a tradition of being a part of the militia. The fact that I was made captain of the militia was, anyways. I'm more than happy to stay here and to serve Harad as much as possible to whatever capacity that I can. I have no interest in leaving my home. Too many people here have fought and have died, or unfortunately were ripped out of their beds and consumed. I have no interest in leaving Harad, which is why my militia did not march when we met each other. We were given orders to march, and I ignored orders. If you didn't meet us on the bridge that day, I probably would have been punished for my inaction. It's one of the reasons why I really appreciate what it is that you did. I would be more than happy to provide whatever aid I can to Idir and to this problem and Paradel in the future, but Harad is my home. It's where my heart lies.
I'm not asking you to lead, or leave, rather. I'm asking you to serve as a link between our cities.
I understand. An alliance, okay. But me continuing to serve my own people as long as they would have me. Yeah, I can see something like this working out. I'm not familiar with these kind of details, and I imagine there's a lot of details to go over. Yeah, whatever proposal you put forward, I will. We don't exactly have a council here. It might be nice to have one, but we don't exactly have a council here. I suppose if you could put together some information, is this something that you have readily available, or is this something maybe you can send with your soldiers?
We can provide an amount of information now, surely, and anything else required we could provide with the soldiers.
Again, I'm not very familiar with how these things work in Harad. We only have a couple of laws that are written, and they're literally written on the old town hall. We have a couple of rules that are kind of just written into the wood over there, literally etched in. There's not many. Other than that, it's pretty much just common sense rulership here. Just don't be an ass. So I imagine you would need some degree of signed parchment. You seem to be a bit more of a put-together nation than ours. I'm not familiar with your people. I've heard rumors, as we've discussed. I've never visited.
We do have the benefit of many scholars.
A signed parchment would be good. And Captain, whether you want it or not, your people look to you to lead. Keep Harad safe and do your best. I think joining with us in the defense of Idir is Idir's best option, and I think you should think of yourself more as a leader, not someone who is just doing what they can.
If I may make a small request beyond you sending these soldiers, that again, I'd be more than happy to clothe and house and feed. I'd be more than happy to cover the cost of them being here. And I just appreciate your act of goodwill, meeting my request. I don't understand the way governance works. If you could send a small... I'm literate. I was actually... my mother trained me to read. If you could send a small description of how it is basic governance works, I'd be more than happy to go this over and see what it is that we could put together, have more formal conversations.
I'm going to look at the tavern's
nice,
and say, I'm sure Ravina could have someone handle that.
Possibly. I was also thinking we currently have in our keep a rather well-read and written gem. Perhaps they could make themselves of some use.
Yes.
Meta question. If we send an advisor here, can they still function within the kingdom?
The way it works is if Harad is instituted as a so it is its own freestanding estate. If you wanted to pull it in as part of an alliance that you have some degree of finger into, like a vassal state sort of a thing. So the way that it works for viewers and PCs, though I believe the PCs know this, is for you to have a city-state that is fully in your actual kingdom. You have full control over it. It falls into the blanket of the tracker sheet that we've talked about a million times. Somebody feel free to share that link in chat and Twitch chat, sorry. So it has to be in a hex that is adjacent to a hex that you control, and then you must control that hex. For a vassal state, what it is the ruler on that tracker sheet of that vassal state becomes a viceroy on your sheet. So this would be its own tracker sheet, and you would have the ruler of this tracker is the viceroy on your tracker, and that's how that works. It runs its own nation. It is its own governance, but you get the benefit of having their ruler be your viceroy. So you have a small perk of that viceroy on your kingdom, and that viceroy is more or less the commander-in-chief of theirs. And so you're like, okay, cool. We tell them, hey, viceroy, we need these things done. And he's like, cool. And he goes back home. He's like, council, this is what we're doing. And they can kind of handle it how they want, you know. So that's usually how you would handle a
Okay.
situation like this, where they're like miles upon miles away from your homeland. And the ruler / viceroy is a charisma position. So usually you don't want some schlub there. You want somebody who actually knows their way around a word.
We have a little look. See, kingdom.
Don't worry, Will. We'll get to you within this hour. I know Neil's in a conversation. We gotta wait a while.
Oh, fuck you both. At the same time.
Nathan is not a charisma boy.
I'm not.
I love that two, I think, of your advisors are using their non-primary attribute as the attribute for their kingdom roll too. And I was going over everything and fixing the tracker and adding like other little things in there. I thought that was funny.
I was just thinking, we need more advisors. I was like, could we send Arthur down
We need to
As
recruit more people.
as an interim viceroy because he understands?
Hey, boys! Don't worry about sending a viceroy yet, because you need to get through agreements and signings or whatever, and it takes like time. But if you are
We need to
looking,
mold the captain.
yes, but he's
That
not.
is what
He's
I
not
was
a charisma based person.
Yeah.
So, and he's
But
not going to serve.
We're not taking Harrod as our own anytime soon.
If you want a charisma based character that could work in this format, you might cough know a charisma based person cough that already has influence there cough.
Oh shit! My brain.
Just saying cough.
That's
cough.
a very good point.
But moving on.
Wait, hold up.
Moving on.
I think
They do have those tokens, Josh. Not all of them. Only ones that were there.
I think if you were to swear vassalage to us, we would be able to provide the 50 men.
Whoa, you
And-
give you the requirement of swearing vassalage to do that? Okay.
And we would be able to support you with leading the people.
I mean this with all due respect, but I'm not swearing anything right now. I need to discuss things with the people. I need to.
Of course, this is not a final offer or the such. But obviously, if you were a vassal, it would make it far more likely that we would perhaps leave a mercenary here to defend you, a mercenary who's known to the people, who has the power to defend you.
I understand, but it's again. I don't know what mercenary you might have in mind, but I think details like this, I'm not going to be able to. I would have to speak to the people before I can come to a conclusion, such as what you're discussing.
Of course. Perhaps.
At any rate, what we said in the beginning about forming an alliance of sorts between the city-states of Idir is a good place to start. It is getting late. Maybe we should retire and then plan out our next moves.
Of course. As I was willing to house your men, I'm also willing to keep you comfortable. We don't exactly have an inn in good condition here, but we do have a place where you can have your own private rooms. There's a home to a friend of mine that is currently vacant. You're welcome to use that, of course.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Ilan, may I borrow you for a moment?
Sure, yes. Follow.
I would also, while that's happening, just sort of sit back at the table and say, Jack, one last ale. Tell me about the battle that you had here. Just kind of like talking to him while Rayron takes Ilan away to talk about whatever.
Obviously this is just an off-screen thing anyways, but
Yeah.
just so I understand, what battle are you referencing?
The one with that Rayren led.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. And again, this is an off-screen conversation, obviously. All right, cool. Go ahead. You boys go have your chat.
So,
Ilan. You don't mind if I call you Ilan?
I prefer it.
You said you don't think you're much of a hero.
Yes.
How long have you had this ability?
You see, there is a hesitation. I just sort of looking around to see if there's anyone else nearby. Just not long.
In Idir, things have a matter of ramping up rather quickly, it would seem. Everything happens at once.
So I'm learning.
If I might suggest, that power you have has the possibility to do a great amount of good. A great amount of good if directed properly. Facing hordes of undead alone is dangerous. But possibly not a good idea.
A lot of the men here, they were not the best soldiers fighting these things. It was the best way I found to stop as many people as possible getting hurt.
And yet you doubt that you're a hero.
It wasn't all selfless risk.
A hero does not need to be selfless. Most, in fact, come away with hefty chests of gold and the such. Now, I called you aside because I can't offer hefty chests of gold. But I can offer a brighter future for Idir if you help us.
He can. He's just cheap, just to be clear.
We can offer
need your
you
help,
endless
Ilan.
barrels of ale.
I've already been told off for that one. We can make a better future, and we need your help.
As long as Harrod gets some protection in this, I don't want to leave them defenseless. But
I was pushing earlier. We intend to send men to Harrod, whether or not they swear vassalage. However, sometimes you must press the advantage you have.
you see a sort of like connection that he's just made. Like you see like it's the light bulb going off, but the realization that like this is I do understand. I think I ran a shop once, not long ago. I do understand what you mean. I think
You were a shopkeeper.
yeah. Oh, it seems both like yesterday and so long ago.
I used to be a soldier. Seems I can't quite get away from that just yet. You're young, yes, Ilan? It's difficult to get a thumb on it with Perrin, but...
Very much so. I will come if I can help. I'll come.
That I believe you most certainly can. And I will believe, furthermore, that you will be doing a greater good throughout Idir than you would by just staying here.
Just be careful with the abilities I have. You don't let me hurt anyone.
Your power earlier did not seem capable of hurting anyone. Perhaps there is something you would like to tell me?
I have not just killed undead recently. Is that all? He looks like visibly like just he's connected the dots to a time he really doesn't want to, and he's very uncomfortable.
We all bear the scars of our past, Dylan. Not all of us have the bravery to wear it so boldly. He gestures towards the wrappings that are covering your arms.
Yes. you get the sense that he was going to say something and he's holding something back with regards to what you were just gesturing, and he's just, I have some things to organize before I leave.
Perhaps invest in a club.
I tried one of those.
I see.
And then he walks off.
Rowan would head back to him.
So when we go to retire, if there's nothing else that need to be said.
Wait, are we sharing our room together? One.
Ooh, I mean, we have a
charm.
house. I was hoping it was more than one bedroom.
More than one bedroom. You guys are able to spend the night, so on and so forth.
Ilan would want to talk with the Ilanites before he retires.
Speak with whom? I apologize.
March the city.
The Ilanites.
Oh, okay.
The people he's been avoiding probably the entire time they've been here, except when they're able to like help me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
He would approach them at the bar. Hi.
It's like a cheer, hey, and so on. We'll give them a face. Just to make things easy.
Might be leaving Harrod, but
no!
I would ask. Not forever. I just would want. Please continue to help defend Harrod in my stead.
You can see. Roll me a sense motive.
Whoop. Oh wow, that is. I rolled a 2.
You know that moment in the comedy action film where like the super obnoxious co-star of the movie gets deputized by like the much more serious role co-star of the action movie, and like, sir, you can count on me. It's more or less like one of those moments where they're like, this is our moment, boys. This is where we shine. And you can see like they're all like frothing at the mouth, like super excited by the fact that they're
get yourself killed. Just help Jack when he needs it. Help him where the defenses are weaker. Just look after Harrod.
Yeah, and obviously they're all like, again, they were already doing so anyways. But now it's one of those, again, they've been deputized by their effectively their leader or their idol, right?
Oh yeah, they're gonna get themselves killed. But Ilin is fucking 23. He doesn't know. He doesn't know any better. He's like, these people want to help. They can help.
He's a 23-year-old parent. I mean, they mature pretty much the same as humans. A little bit mechanically, humans are adults at 15, and half elves are adults at 20. But I mean, like societally, you have the same expectations at the same ages.
I love that Rayrin was like, "You're young, aren't you?" And he's like, "He's just turned 24 in this campaign."
I mean, what is it? 25 is when you 25 is when you become a full-fledged, fully developed human. But yet in the game, mechanically, you're an adult at 15 and you're middle-aged at 30. So it's like, welcome to adulthood. You're old. Like,
oh no. I also think it'd be interesting because I imagine they would very much not look even close to the same age just because of life experience versus everything else. Just even the way they hold themselves would be different. It'd be interesting. But anyway,
so he does Rayrin? That. My apologies. Or you and
Ilin and Rayrin? Yeah.
Yeah, but Rayrin's also human, so he's haggard. So you're gonna look a pretty
after
boy
he does
for
that,
years.
he would go to wherever he calls home, pack up. He wouldn't have much.
Okay.
And then sleep.
Yep, and then so the next morning, you guys are able to kind of get up, and you're able to head out shortly afterwards. Obviously,
not necessarily.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry,
because I wanted to tell Neil that night. More or less, just about
sleepover. Is this one of those you guys are in the bed, kicking your feet up in the air?
I'm trying to have serious RP, Scott, and you're ruining the moment.
I would also like just to add a thing for people for in their minds. Ilin is definitely still wearing the goggles, just so you know. As uncomfortable as that makes things, and weird as that makes things. Continue.
Once we got back, I just turned to Rayrin and say, Rayrin, I've learned a lot from you since we first met. And I try and model my way of thinking and about diplomacy after seeing what you did with Leshev and getting that all on board. However, I'm thinking in regards to this place in particular, I think we should play a longer game. I think that we should have Ravina deal, and maybe not personally, maybe through one of her agents, but mold Jack for now instead of pushing for a vassalage. I get where you're coming from, but I feel like we could turn this into a lot more if we had a bit of patience.
I would agree. However, I've planted the seed now. When the idea comes, it will be from Jack himself. It's the same with Leshev. I made it very clear of our intents from the beginning, and slowly, over time, our nations are coming closer and closer. Through necessity. But in the back of everyone's mind is this option.
Hearing that explanation, you'd see one kind of impressed. And he says, there's still a lot that I can learn.
Well, it might not play off so well with everyone. Be careful who you ask into vassalage. It's not a vigil one, that.
He chuckles, and yeah, that's all I had to say.
Now you guys go to sleep?
Bring on the tree.
Yep. You wake up the next morning.
Bring on the tree.
Wake up the next morning, and you're able to kind of like, it was a long trek to get here, but you were successful in one day. You made friends. There was a conversation. Somehow this place can be something more than just a vassal state. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's literally just kind of like your dumping ground for all of, I don't know, Hodgwin's garbage or something. And then you immediately head out. To head out, are we taking the river to avoid combat that might happen on lands, or are we taking the land? The river will take longer, but will be safer. Land will be faster, but will be more dangerous. What was the plan?
You might also note that Ilan has almost nothing with him, like maybe some extra clothes, and that's all he's sort of brought with him.
I would suggest maybe going not by river. I'm interested to see Ilan in action if action arises.
You're saying this within earshot of Ilan?
No, it's probably that morning when he's planning out what they're going to do with Rayron.
That's true. I hadn't considered that. On the other hand, if we want to send any of Rayron's riders down towards Harrod, heading to Lachef first is the best plan. I don't. So if we
did buy ourselves a few weeks. So
yeah, that's true. So to Haldgwen. Now there is a possibility if we go to Haldgwen that we won't be able to get in because there are lots of undead around. Should we just deal with that, bro? I mean, it will be good if we turn up on the doorstep and Ilan bombs a load, and they'll be like, "Oh, look at the chosen here."
Yeah.
Okay, let's go Haldgwen. Haldgwen and then portal back. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Will. I was trying to pull you into the campaign. Instead, I have to set up a battle sequence because we can't just have him go, boom, I do a bunch. It has to actually be a combat because you're a PCs.
Why does there have to be a combat?
Because you're a PCs. That's the way it works. Will, you joined. You can join the campaign session 14.
Through the portal at Hodgwen,
welcome to my life.
Arrives, summons the warden to Hodgwen because there's an issue that needs to be dealt with.
He's not the warden. That means Kithel shows up.
Whatever it is, what is he? I don't remember what that position's called.
That's how important you are. Not allowed to talk, not allowed to join them. They scoff at you and snicker behind
your back.
Yeah,
so we definitely need the marshal.
And then they don't even.
Messenger comes through, summons the marshal, and Nathan in Hodgwen.
Well, it's actually
if we could wait one more day and actually have Nathan come, then that would be good because he could speak to the elemental in Haldgwen.
Yeah, that's why the messenger summoned him. Speak to the
I'm a meta game hardcore there. Like that would actually
also like it's just if you're wanting to test out people's combat abilities, why not do them both at once?
It's true.
Sorry, Scott.
What do you mean? Sorry, we fixed it.
Everybody, we're gonna have to take a break now. We'll be back.
Scott's like,